Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Diversion Authority Finance Committee meeting for June 25th, 2025. Brandy Madriga will not be joining us today. So with that, Don, would you please call the order?
Mayor Dardis.
Here.
Mayor Mahoney.
Here.
Mayor Carlson. Mr. Steen.
Here.
Ms. Thompson.
Here.
Ms. Johnson. Mr.
Here.
Redlinger. Mr. Grimberg.
Here.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Here.
Mr. Capitan.
Here.
Mr. Reeds. And a quorum is present.
Thank you, Don. We do have a quorum. Item number 2 is to approve the minutes of May 21st, 2025. They have been distributed and are on page 3 of the packet.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Steen, excuse me. I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pipcorn. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of May 21st. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carried. Next order of business is to approve the order of the agenda. It has been distributed.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Capitan moves to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Grinberg seconds. I have a motion and a second to approve the order of the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 4 is the approval of the bills. We call on Susan Thompson, Finance Director, City of Fargo. It is on page 6 of the packet.
Page 6 lists the total bills received through June 17th. They total $5.7 million. There are several fairly large ones. We had a really short cutoff last month, so as you'll notice, there's both the May and the June bill backs from the City of Fargo, so that contributes to that. The Clay County one was a flowage easement. City of Fargo, both were really related to storm lift rehabilitation, and the Cass County Joint Water District was a property purchase. Anyone have any questions?
Any questions for Susan? Anyone? This is an actionable item.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I will move to approve the bills.
Thank you, Mr. Steen. It's been moved and seconded to approve the bills as presented to $5,776,765.65. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Capitan seconds. I have a motion and a second to approve the order of the bills, excuse me. Is there any discussion? Don, would you please call a roll?
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney.
Aye.
Steen.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
yes,
Mr. Redlinger.
Yes.
Mr. Grimberg.
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mr. Capitan.
Aye.
That's everyone.
Thank you, Don. Motion passes. Item number 5 is the finance report. Again, we call on Susan Thompson. It's on page 35 of the packet.
Okay, page 35 reflects the historic and current year-to-date revenues and expenditures and funding sources. And then the next page, 36, shows the statement of net position. Through May 31st, 2025, there's a grand total assets of $343,700,496. The liabilities, there's a large vouchers payable that has to do with timing of when we ran the financials versus when we paid the bills. So that will clear out in June. The liabilities total $3.4 million. So the net position for the month is $340,246,982. Any questions?
Thank you, Susan. Are there any questions for anything? This is actionable. Motion, please.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Capitan. I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Steen seconds. I have a motion and a second to approve the finance report of $340,246,982. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 6 is the cash budget report. We call on Jason Benson, Executive Director.
Hey, good afternoon.
Welcome.
Committee members, so looking at the cash budget report closing out in May. So when we look at what's in the approved budget versus the current and then the fiscal end with $91 million in revenues out of the 425, but because of we haven't been doing the WIFIA draws, which is $234 million. So when you subtract that, about $190 million is what is anticipated for the rest of the year, of which we've received 90 million. So we're pretty well on track for our revenues for the year. If there's any questions, I'll move on to our expenditures.
Questions?
Yep, Mr.
Commissioner
Chair, I have a
Pipcorn.
question. So the state of Minnesota, obviously, they had a special session. What did they end up as far as funding for the diversion?
Right now, there was $9 million that was in the bonding bill that was approved for flood mitigation across the state. We're still waiting from the Minnesota DNR. They're the ones that handle the flood funding, similar to the Department of Water Resources in North Dakota when it comes to legislative funding. So it was not, there was no specific earmarked funding for the diversion project itself. We're expecting later this summer that we'll find out which projects, and we're hopeful that we're going to get something out of that $9 million, whether that's $3 million or $5 million. We don't anticipate we're going to get all $9 million of that, though, because it's across the whole state.
Mr. Chairman, maybe if Jason can build on Commissioner Pepcorn's question about this session in Minnesota versus the next session coming up with more of a bonding, at least some of the sentiment, some of the hall talk that you picked up on with, I mean, there were many trips that many of the Moorhead and Clay County leaders and yourself spent at St. Paul, but it seems like there's at least interest with the bonding bill coming in the next round, so that the requests are not going away. I guess that's one point, but maybe an additional comment on that?
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. So right now, a lot of the bonding bill for this year, the $700 million that was approved, looking at it, more of that has gone to state level activities, the Minnesota DOT for road and bridge construction, those types of projects versus local government projects. There's some expectation that next year there will be a bonding bill that will cover more of the local government projects. And if in that case, we expect that we'd be able to get some additional funding, specifically when we look at the projects that include Buffalo Red Watershed, Clay County and Moorhead. We had a big effort through the legislative session from all the entities. I was down there several times, but then commissioners from Clay County, Mayor Moorhead, all made a big effort. It's just unfortunately that there wasn't a lot of funding that was approved for, when, again, $9 million statewide for flood control doesn't go very far.
Any additional questions, comments? All right. Thank you.
All right, then when we look at the level one, again, when we look at budgeted versus what we spent, the fifth column over there, FY 2025 costs. So, $425 million in the budget, $55 million of what we've expended so far. But a lot of that, when we look at the line number three, or not line number two, $233 million that's allocated for P3 milestone payments. We've made $17 million in payments so far. So we expect, especially as a lot of construction starts to get wrapped up in some of the bridge work and other components of the project, that'll pick up later this year. Outside of that, no other big differences in what we expect for when it comes to expenditures. And then if there's any other detailed questions, we've got the details, but if not, that concludes my report.
Anything else from Mr. Benson? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Item number 7 is the MOUs and agreements. We're going to call on Mr. Shockley, legal counsel for the Diversion Authority. It's on page 66.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Finance Committee. I have one MOU amendment with the various water resource districts on the North Dakota side of the river. This is an update, adding in one additional crossing and then identifying that the authority is responsible for considering reimbursement requests from the district for cleanup and repairs resulting from actual project operations. This reflects where the project is moving to, looking at operations and maintenance issues, and so it's a pretty small amendment. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Shockley?
Move for approval.
I have a motion to approve the Water Resource Districts and Metro Flood Diversion Authority MOUs, Amendment 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Steen seconds. I have a motion and a second to approve the Water Resource Districts Metro Flood Diversion Authority MOUs Amendment 1. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Don, would you please call a roll?
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Chair Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
yes,
Mr. Redlinger.
Yes.
Mr. Grimberg.
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
And Mr. Capitown.
Aye.
That is everyone.
Thank you, Don. Motion passes. Item number 8 is Diversion Authority Board Approval Contracting Actions. We call on Chris Bakkegaard, engineer for the Metro Flood Diversion Authority.
Thank you, Chair Dardis, members of the Finance Committee. We have 2 contracting actions for your consideration today for recommendation to the board. The first is one of our work package 38C, which is our demolition package projects. We are recommending award of this OIN 831 package to industrial builders with a low bid of $229,660. We had a good competitive bid field here. We had 4 bids ranging from IB's bid of $230,000 up to $330,000. Our engineer's estimate was a little over $300,000. So again, a good series of bids here. So unless you have questions, that would be our recommendation on the first contracting action.
Anyone? Any questions?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Grinberg moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Capitan seconds. I have a motion and a second to approve industrial builders for the amount of $229,660. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll, Don.
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Chair Mahoney.
Aye.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
yes,
Mr. Redlinger.
Yes.
Mr. Grimberg.
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
And Mr. Capitown.
Aye.
That is everyone.
Thank you, Don. Motion passes. Please continue.
Our second contracting action for today is an extension of the Jacobs Engineering. They're contracted to us under CH2M Hill Engineers for extending their work through the year 2027. Just to kind of give some background, this task order was last approved in 2019. And at the time, the board decided that they would only extend that through the end of this calendar year. It was programmed to run through the end of our construction of the P3 program. So all of the efforts or the expansion here was covered in our program budget, but we are recommending extension of their contract through the rest of the construction of the P3 as it sits today. It's an extension of work with a very similar amount of budget for task year 2026, and then starting to anticipate that will be some reduction in work as we get into 2027. But an overall extension of their contract of about $15.8 million. Happy to answer any questions, and I've got Paul here too if you guys have any more details you'd like to know about the contract extension.
Committee, any questions? Commissioner Pipcorn?
Just was this anticipated and was it in the budget?
Yeah, this was anticipated. Again, the board just decided at the time to not run all the way out to 2027, just to limit it to just a 6-year window from 19 to 2025. So yes, we had anticipated this. It's in the program budget. So yeah, there'll be no budget amendments, either cash or overall program budget amendments needed for this amendment.
Anyone else? No? Okay. This is an actionable item.
Steen moves to approve.
Stu, thank you. Rick, moves to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Pipcorn seconds. I have a motion and a second to approve the Jacobs contracting for the tune of $15,810,986. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Don, would you please call a roll?
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney.
Aye.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
yes,
Mr. Redlinger.
Yes.
Mr. Grimberg.
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
And Mr. Capitan.
Aye.
That is everyone.
Thank you. The motion passes. Item number 9 is other business. First order of business is the City of Fargo Project NR-25-D. We call on Chris and Nathan for this one.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Dardis, members of the Finance Committee. As we agreed in our policy agreement with the City of Fargo, anytime we had recommended changes to our program plans for any city work, we would bring those in front of the board. This one I think will be a fairly straightforward one in that we're just consolidating a couple of projects, and then the city has done some analysis that have allowed us to reduce the scope of a couple of projects. So I think we have all around pretty good news today. To give a high-level summary, and then if Nathan wants to add any details, he's welcome to, but this involves 3 of the lift station projects. They were all originally planned to be full replacements of those stations with an estimated cost of about $13.5 million. Through analysis with the city's consultants, they determined there was enough storage capacity in the system that we wouldn't induce any flooding in the community, and so we wouldn't have to replace and upsize the lift stations. We just need to rehabilitate them, replace the pumps, and upgrade the system. So we're now recommending that we both consolidate these projects from 2 separate projects into one to do all 3 lift stations, and then reduce the scope from replacement to rehabilitation with an estimated cost of about $4.3 million. Nathan, or I guess Jason's waiting for me, so I got Nathan here if you have any questions, but otherwise that's the summary of our recommended approval of the city's updated plan for these 3 stations.
Thank you, Chris. Questions for him? Commissioner
Sorry for
Pipcorn.
asking so many questions, but so what was the cost? Can you, like a ballpark figure of rehabbing them versus making them bigger and all that? Can you
in
ballpark?
Yeah, so generally, if you add all 3 together, it's changing it from about $13.5 million down to 4.3. Nathan might know the individual numbers, but that's generally, it's quite a reduction in scope and a good benefit that the city's bringing to the project here, so.
Mayor Mahoney.
It's always nice to see the city of Fargo find ways to spend the project or help to get the project costs down. And I want to say thank you, Nathan and the team, for doing that. And Tony Grinberg gets a little more money we now have to help us out.
We like them.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve,
Second.
and I have a second by Commissioner Grinberg. We have a motion and a second to approve the the amendment to the City of Fargo Project NR-25-D regarding rehabilitation of lift stations. Is there any further discussion? Any discussion? Don, would you please call a roll?
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney.
Aye.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
yes,
Mr. Redlinger.
Yes.
Mr. Grimberg.
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mr. Capitan.
Aye.
That is everyone.
Thank you. The motion passes. 9B, we're going to call on Jason, and this is the Metro Flood Diversion Authority 2024 Audit Governance Letter.
All right, thank you. Thanks, committee members. So in the back of your packet is the Ide Bailey audit letter that we received. So over the last several months, Ide Bailey has been conducting a full audit of the Diversion Authority. And so first, good news, everything's come back very well. When you look at the 3-page report, the last two pages, pages 2 and 3 really outline the, what they investigated or what they looked at, and the fact that no significant accounting estimates were identified, no financial statement challenges, no significant dealings with management related to the performance of the audit, and so a lot of no significant issues throughout the report. So again, I think it speaks well to the financial status of the project, as well as the collaboration between all the entities, the city of Fargo, the Cass County, as we manage different funds through different entities, that we work well together, and that things are on target with how we manage that from an auditing standpoint. With that, if there's any questions.
Mayor Mahoney.
So Jason, is this all the WIFIA fund, everything that we do, all the millions and millions of dollars, they do an audit of all that?
Mayor, committee members, I don't, since we haven't done any WIFIA draws at this point, but it would be, from my understanding, is that they're auditing all revenues that we bring in, and then all of our, how we expend that, how that's all balanced. I'm not an auditing expert, but
Susan, is that your department they're auditing, or
It
what other
is,
department?
that they're auditing the presentation of the financials to make sure that they're not materially misstated. So they're looking at the estimates that we make and how they're all presented. That's what they're saying. This letter actually is just reminding the board that Ide Bailey's job is to opine on the financial statements, not to manage them. So that really, we still own the financials and we're responsible for all the decisions that are made.
And then I'm understanding, if I may, we have another group that's watching where everything is, so we don't get in trouble with the feds. I think when John started this, we had some company that somewhat helped us and everything. That's different.
as far as the different requirements with WIFIA and some of the other financial requirements for drawing funds and then the payment, that's separate from this Ide Bailey.
Okay,
audit.
thank you.
Yes.
Any additional questions for Mr. Benson? This is an informational only item, so thank you.
All right, thank you.
Does any member of the Finance Committee have anything they'd like to bring forward at this time? Staff, anything you'd like to bring forward at this time? Our next meeting is July 23rd. That concludes today's business. We stand adjourned. Thank you.